everybody. Welcome to second semester of 7th grade. I am so excited to get started with a little mini unit with you, and we are going to begin poetry. I know some of you are probably very excited about that, and some of you are probably cringing at that. I know that there's a lot of different feelings about poetry, and I promise I'll do my best to make it as fun as possible because it is something that I love. The first thing I want to do is talk to you about what is poetry? What exactly is it? Now, to be honest, for centuries, poetry has been around for thousands of years, and for centuries, poets and writers and scholars, they've all been trying to pin down one specific definition of poetry, and they've failed, okay? They have had little success on coming to a consensus and agreeing on what poetry is. Emily Dickinson is a well-known poet. She said, "If I read a book and it makes my body so cold, no fire can ever warm me, I know that it's poetry." So that was her definition. Wordsworth defined poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. And Dylan Thomas said that poetry is what makes me laugh or cry or yawn, what makes my toenails twinkle, what makes me want to do this, that, or nothing. So as you can see, there's quite the variety of different thoughts and feelings regarding poetry. I want you to take a moment to write down your definition of poetry. Before you get started, don't overthink. There is no right or wrong answer. Just tell me what you think poetry is. If you were to define it to somebody who had never heard of poetry, how would you explain what it is? I do expect your answers to be complete sentences, or at least a complete sentence. Before we go any further, I know some of you are asking, why do we have to do poetry, Miss Fry? I know some of you are thinking that, and I'm here to tell you why. First of all, poetry is a super important part of reading and writing, as well as it develops an understanding of our language, and we're going to get more into that. And the biggest and final reason is because it's fun, so why not? Even if you don't think it's fun yet, I think that you'll find that it's fun because poetry is all around us. And you hear it all the time, you just don't recognize it sometimes as poetry. So I'm here to help you identify and enjoy poetry as much as possible. There are probably a bazillion other reasons on why I could tell you we should learn poetry, but I'm curious on what you think. I have a two-part question for you. Why do you think we learn poetry? What's so important? Why are we doing it? And two, my second question for you is, I said poetry is everywhere around you and you may not even notice it. Where do you think some of those places are? Either where have you seen poetry, or where do you think it is that you maybe haven't noticed or recognized it before? Maybe you are somebody who enjoys writing, and so you will automatically love writing poetry. Maybe you are somebody who really dislikes writing long narratives or essays or pieces of writing, and if so, poetry might be the answer for you. There are a lot of students that don't enjoy the longer pieces of writing, yet they enjoy poetry because they can be a lot shorter. You don't have to write paragraphs. Paragraphs don't even exist in poetry. Sometimes grammar and punctuation and capitalization rules, all of those conventional rules, thrown out the window in some types of poetry. So if you don't like normal writing, this is something that you may find that you do enjoy. I don't want to assume whether or not you enjoy poetry or not. So what I would like to do is give you the opportunity to tell me. So I would like for you to write a little bit and tell me, what has your experience with poetry been so far, if you've had any experience with it, and what was that experience like? So tell me your thoughts and the things that you've done with it, and if you have at all. All right, I need you to do one more thing for me before we get too far into poetry. I would like to give you a pre-questionnaire, pre-assessment on your knowledge that you already know on poetry and figurative language. This is not for a grade in the grade book, I promise you. It is just for me to get like a baseline of where you all are, what knowledge do you know, and also we will have a similar test after this poetry unit, and it helps me measure your growth. How much did you grow during this unit? Okay, so it is on Google Forms. Do not look up answers. I want to know what you know. It doesn't help me if you go Google answers, so just make your best educated guess, and if you have no clue, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, thank you so much, and that's all I'm going to have for you to do today, and tomorrow we're going to dive right into our first poem. So let me know if you have questions, and this is off topic, but if you did not sign up to have a conference with me yesterday, you need to do so now. I'm going to conference with each of you. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to be contacting you. All right, thanks so much. Bye, everybody.